Alright, so I want to get into some deep shit, I guess, because I was going to make a video about something else, but I remember last night I kind of made an audio recording of myself, and I might release that too eventually, but I want to kind of touch on that topic, which is, I think that, so for those who have not done psychedelics, this is going to be like very deep, but I'm going to try to break it down. DMT has allowed me to, what I personally perceive as entering into another dimension that literally is another dimension. And I feel like that quantum physics is starting to, they've already, on quantum mechanics, already, described how other dimensions do exist, and that they're working on a theory of everything with E8, and there's many things going on and many breakthroughs happening around the world, scientifically, spiritually, psychedelic wise, and technologically, and I feel like all of it is honestly connected. I feel like all of this is just a reflection of what's going on in the higher realms, right? In the higher realms, they are on, I feel like, on another level of intelligence. Like, so a lot of people who have done DMT or done psychedelics and seen light beings or light entities or aliens, and this is just what I've seen, right? But a lot of people have also seen it, where it's like these things seem technological. It seems like they can, they sing objects into creation, and you can also sing objects into creation in that place. And it's like, it's almost like you can change the fabric of space and time in that with your voice, and there's this certain language they speak, and I've learned to sing that language, and it creates technological objects that also create other technological objects, but they're not necessarily technological, they're organic, but it's an organic technology, but it's just so complex it's hard to bring down to a human understanding. But that's why I say with the help of quantum physics they're going to get there. And what I'm seeing is quantum physics, religion, science, sci-fi movies. I feel like all of these are all just the isness of the universe trying to speak through the other dimensions. The higher dimensions are almost like seeping through into this dimension and into the lower dimensions. And now pretty soon all of the dimensions will have an understanding of each other. I feel like there is the biggest thing that I've kind of realized with diving deep with DMT and I feel like I've done this differently than most people. Like, most people don't, I don't know, trip to try to understand what the fuck the trip is. Like, I'm trying to understand what exactly is the psychedelic experience. What exactly is the human experience? Because that's what it brought into question. After questioning what is the psychedelic experience, I started questioning, okay, well, then what is the human experience? And then I started realizing that the psychedelic experience and the human experience is the same thing. They're just different parts of the same game being played. It's so complex, but I've been trying to work together an idea about how E8, I believe, is the Matrix, possibly, and how all the dimensions lower than the 8th dimension are in this E8 matrix machine, light machine thing. Like, because I feel like these dimensions are possibly also what these light beings are singing into creation. And this is why I said this video is going to be extremely deep. And, because that's why I like this little thing with the internet, where I feel like this is like my little corner of the internet where I could speak freely and speak my mind and think freely. Because so many people are scared to think free thoughts. They're scared to think for themselves, and don't be scared to think for yourself. Always think for yourself. If you have a wild idea, fucking think about it. Try to be logical about it, try to do research, try to connect, try to see if anyone else, had similar ideas or similar experiences or similar whatever. Because that's what I've done with all these theories that I think about. I've kind of just like searched through the internet. I've read so many different trip reports on Arrowwood, so many different trip reports on the DMT nexus. I've been reading a lot of research papers on porphine alkaloids and the LSA derivatives and LSA alkaloids like LSD and the ethlads and all this other shit. And I don't know, I think that there's something more to these things than just a pharmaceutical application. I think that the beginning stages is amazing. MDMA being, legalized for like PTSD therapy and things like that. Like, that's amazing. But I feel like these are just the beginning stages, because these things are designed for these things can do so much more than just help with therapy. They're a gateway. Certain chemicals, certain molecules are gateways to other dimensions that contain other alien-like, humanoid-like light beings of sorts. It's hard to explain them, but almost, hundreds of thousands of people have seen them now. So this is where I'm like, yo, that's why I'm not scared anymore to talk about it or to express. I guess I've never been really scared to talk about it or express my trips or my real, true, deepest psychedelic thoughts, because I feel like reality is coming to an evolution. It's coming to a change where this is going to be more accepted, because they're forced to look at it, because there's too many of us. There's too many people that are coming back and experiencing these entities and learning, and there's so many people that know how to sing objects into creation in this dimension now. The shamans have been doing it for thousands of years with their Icaros, learning how to sing their different Icaros, and then it creates a different color and it creates a different shape when they're on ayahuasca, because they'll sing these songs, and the shamans, depending on which song they're singing and depending on which note they're singing it at, will depend on the visuals that they're seeing. In a way, they can almost kind of create things out of their mouth in little different shapes and colors and just textures of things, and they can create visuals by singing, and that's what the shamans have been doing for thousands of years. By holding the space, by singing their songs, they can change the vibe of the experience, and you're able to do that in completely into the DMT space as well, and that's what these light beings are doing. But that's because that's their dimension, and their dimension, that's what they do. And their dimension, I feel like the light dimension is just another dimension, but the laws of physics are different than here. They're intelligent, conscious beings, but they're not 3D. So therefore, I feel like we're 3D, and we're made of, we're carbon-based, life forms. I feel like they're photon-based life forms, light photons, light particles. I feel like they are literally the physical manifestation of light, and their consciousness embodies the light and the light spectrum. I don't know. It's so hard to understand, to break down, because I'm not a fucking scientist. I'm not a doctor. I didn't finish my GED, but this is what I mean by don't be scared to think freely, because I think that these things are a lot deeper than we realize, because I've learned so much from these things in such little time. It's helped me want to expand my consciousness to the point where the man I was 5-6 years ago would have never sat here and told you guys I've done research and all this other shit. Like, I would have thought all this was fucking crazy, and I would have said, I would have said, I'm not smart enough to understand quantum physics, or I'm not smart enough to understand any of that. But it's like, or I'm not smart enough to understand molecules. Now it's like I know what receptors all these molecules attach to, and I'm starting to know the differences in receptors. And I just think that our mind is a lot more powerful than we realize. And I think this world is a lot more complex than we realize. So, yeah, this is, I guess, my thought on reality right now. My camera's about to run out of space, so I'm kind of forced to go. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't be scared to think for yourself. Think up some wild ideas, guys.